Okay, here's another video of right down underneath here. If you ever look right under the crank, look right under here, there's will be a little hole. One little hole right in the center of the crank right there. Those go in, right? There's a hole and it's got threads on it, and it goes and dumps into it, so you can put grease in there. You can put a grease fitting on there if you wanted to, but I ended up just putting a little small bolt, a little screw that I had that fit, that, you know, it screwed into it perfectly. And some major thunder. But yeah, I did that, and then now I lost my train of thought. But yeah, did that. So what I did is I put a bolt underneath of that, and basically first, before I did that, I got lots of grease and I put it in like a little injection syringe, and I sucked it in there after, you know, pulling really hard on it. Got the vacuum to suck really hard. It finally filled it up, and after doing it a bunch of times, it finally got a good amount of grease in there. And then I put the bolt head on there and just close it up, because, you know, if you don't have an injector and like a little injector syringe to inject with, like, you know, I don't know, injector syringes, I'll show you. These right here, you know, a little syringe thing. Cut the tip off with how you need it. If you don't have those, all pieces may have a full syringe, and you'll have that. You get like a grease gun and a grease fitting and put on there. But I did it the way I could. That was the way I had, just to see if I fixed the problem. Because the problem I'm having is when you're pedaling with this thing, you get some major like noise in it, or some major like clank, metal kinking noises coming from when you're pedaling. If you notice that's happening, it sounds like, and you feel it in the pedals while you're pedaling, it's probably because you need to have some grease in there. Now what I do is I sprayed WD-40 all in there to get it all lubricated perfectly, and then I put the grease in. And that way, it's gonna hold it in there tight, and it's the liquid's gonna suck in the grease to where it needs it. And so yeah, that fixed my problem instantly. I went pedaling, and there's no more noise coming from the crank at all. So I finally fixed all my crank issues. If you hadn't seen my other video, this side, in particular, the crank, the left side right here, what I had to do is I had to pull this bolt out right here. Instead of using Loctite, I didn't have it. I was like, fuck it, I'm never going to take this off again. I want it to be permanent, because I've had problems with putting Loctite on it and it comes out. So what I did is I pulled it out, and I mixed up some JB Weld, the liquid kind, and then put it all on the threads and put it on the inside of it too, and tightened it all the way the fuck down, and then let it set up and dry. And it hasn't came loose since. Because that's always been the problem, because this one should be reverse thread, because it's spinning the opposite way, but it's not. So it creates an issue. The other side doesn't come off because of the way that it's spinning, and it's standard thread spinning the correct way that it needs to work. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. So if you're getting some noise, sounds like a crinking metal noise, kink, 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 like when you're pedaling and shit, and you think it's your pedals. That's what I was thinking first, was my pedals. And I bought these really good pedals. I'm like, no, these pedals are not making any noise. It's just straight down here. You need to put grease in it, because they don't have it greased. You know, it only comes with however much grease was on the bearing when you first was made in China. So probably use some cheap grease, you know, and as little as possible. So make sure that you know, put a grease fitting on there underneath of it. I already showed you where it's at. And or if you have an injector, inject grease in there, then inject some grease in there, and then seal it off with a bolt. And there you go. It'll fix your problems. It'll fix all your kinking problems in the front, all the noises that it makes when you start pedaling. But yeah, that's all there is to it. 5-minute video. All right. Hope everyone has a great day. I love you all. Bye.